With the success of the Miles Morales Across the Spider-Verse movie, with it making money already after its second weekend, unlike Little Mermaid live action, and the promise of a live-action Miles Morales Spider-Man movie, this article from Polygon I actually 100% agree with. The MCU doesn't deserve Miles Morales. Goodness gracious, I never thought. How often do you get to agree with Polygon? The plans for a live-action Miles Morales movie after Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is a worrying, I can't talk, reality check. While the Spider-Verse movies appear to take place outside the MCU continuity, apart from multiverse shenanigans that form the most tenuous conceptual connections, I think they made jokes at their expense as well. It was always clear that the years-long back and forth between Marvel and Sony over the cinematic rights to Spider-Man, please Sony, don't give up. Keep Spider-Man. Whether it's Miles Morales, Peter Parker, or Miguel, or whoever, Gwen Stacy, keep it. Hold on to it. You don't need Disney. Sure, you made some stinkers a couple of times, but hey, No Way Home was fantastic. Across the Spider-Verse is making you money. No reason to stop now. You don't need Marvel. You don't need Kevin Feige. You don't need Disney. Don't need any of them. Kevin Feige. I may have said that wrong. Correct me in the comments if I am. Marvel Studios president. Oh, I got it right. Hey, President Kevin Feige. Hey. Don't correct me in the comments. Made his company's ongoing push to keep Spider-Man in the MCU fold clear back in 2019. Yes, by splitting the profits with Sony. Disney got 25% for No Way Home. That's the only way Disney has been able to make money off of Marvel lately. Labeling the wall crawler as, quote, the only hero with the superpower to cross cinematic universes. Oh boy. At first, Marvel Studios' future plans for Spider-Man seemed to revolve solely around Tom Holland's role as the character, when there's absolutely nothing wrong with that if we can get back to Tom Holland being your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man for 1 to 3 movies, hopefully 3. Sony, you can do it. Make that money. I would like to see Tom Holland as your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. I would enjoy it. People would enjoy it. You don't need an origin story. That's done. The Disney, Marvel, the previous trilogy, the Way Home, that's done. That's his origin story. We got it. Now, continue on. Give him some street-level fights to build up to something bigger. I don't know. Or who, whatever. Use them to introduce Miles Morales as well before you give him his own standalone movie. Meanwhile, as Miles Morales tells Spider-Man 2099 and in Across the Spider-Verse, he'd rather do his own thing. Now, that's important. Obviously, Across the Spider-Verse was a meta-narrative to all the fans, bickering and arguing, going back and forth. Miles Morales is Miles Morales, Peter Parker is Spider-Man. But it's what actual fans like to argue about instead of the ideological politics behind-the-scenes garbage. Let's argue about the characters and the settings and their behavior and their moral compasses and what they would do compared to the comic book counterparts. That's what we do. That's what nerds, geeks, and everyone, all beloved fans of beloved franchises. It's what we'd much rather be doing than the nonsense that we're doing now. He'd rather do his own thing. In an IP-driven world, however, his freedom from the idiosyncratic norms of superhero movies wasn't bound to last forever. Why not? It can last forever. You don't need Disney. I'm going to keep saying that. You're going to get tired of it, but I'm going to keep saying of it. I hope you don't get tired of it. As producer Amy Pascal told Variety in the lead-up to Across the Spider-Verse's release, the live-action Miles Morales movie is already in the works. I think she said it's going to happen. Of course it's going to happen. How much of it is in the works, especially with the writer strike and the actor strike? Oh no, say it ain't so. I don't think it's going to be in the works anytime soon. They're talking about it. It's definitely going to happen. Again, especially because over $300 million after 2 weekends. The movie Across the Spider-Verse is making money. $100 million budget, $250 million to break even, and probably no telling how many more weekends to go. In an era of there's no A in that, corporate crossovers and calculations, teams of creatives are rarely free from the responsibility of tie-ins, orchestrating, blah, 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 blah. Into the Spider-Verse was initially an independent breakout, but it was also a success, so they decided to add to it, expand on it, and so far they've done, my opinion, don't say that. So far, I think they're doing a wonderful job. What's the difference between saying I think and in my opinion? Is there really a difference? Do both need to be said? Should only one be said? But I digress. When you look at the plans of Marvel Studios and the Walt Disney Company are laying out for the next few years, these references are a worrying reality check about where Miles Morales could fit into the cinematic conglomerate. As long as Sony is in charge of what happens to Miles, I don't think I'd have a problem with him being in the MCU. But Disney doesn't deserve it. Okay? Don't say the MCU, because it's all Marvel. Miles Morales is Marvel. It's all Marvel. But deepfake voices. Anyway, caught my eye. Sony can make Miles Spider-Man movies, live action, with some Disney stuff in there. Go with the same percentage, except go 20%. Screw Disney. Or go 25%. Disney will try to highball it and go 30, 35%, but Sony, don't cave, please. But what the hell? We're going to go all the way down to the bottom because it gets into spoilers. So, Marvel Studios just doesn't let its live-action films do anything. Don't let Disney dictate what happens to Miles. That's the main focus of all this article. MCU's imprint is all too clear in movie after movie, and it's unlikely that idiosyncrasy, you use that word twice, spirit could carry over into the live action treatment where while there's a cultural importance, why does everything have to be culturally important? Just make a good character, let people see it, mixed race kid with a complicated heritage. Okay, Dominican and black. How is that complicated? Cool. Coming to live action, it's hard to imagine. The next thing they're going to be complaining about, because whoever the live action actor they get to play Miles Morales just probably won't be brown enough. Mark my words, it will be complaining about it. They're already doing it for Lilo and Stitch, so what's next? But if you argue the other way, you're up. Anyway, MCU movie isn't going to let the soundtrack take over. What? Okay. Showcasing otherwise silent scenes between characters. It does? Marvel Studios just doesn't let its live-action films do anything completely idiosyncratic. What the? Is this your new favorite word? Idiosyncratic. And directors who try, like original Ant-Man director, get the boot or part ways with the company over creative differences. As Wright told Variety in 2017, Marvel wanted to rewrite his script without his involvement. Ant-Man director Edgar Wright. Suddenly becoming a director for hire on it, you're sort of less emotionally invested and you start to wonder why you're there. Well, if you're director versus writer, is the director involved in the writing? I guess that's part of the contract that you sign. Drivers behind the MCU want history to repeat itself, pushing for yet another origin story for Miles as Spider-Man. You already have that. You don't need to have another origin story. Simply make him a continuation of the animated movie. Always putting in an origin story. First of all, it takes up screen time, takes up runtime, where you could be doing a more, interesting character-driven story arc instead of going back and saying, this is how Miles became Spider-Man. Here's where he got bit by the spider. I'm not going to really real spoilers, because in case you haven't seen it, if you haven't seen Across the Spider-Verse, I do recommend the movie. It's fantastic. I look forward to watching it again. Perhaps more worrying is the inevitable loss of essence captured in the animated films. On one hand, I will agree with this because I wouldn't mind seeing Miles Morales stick to the animated format. There are things that can't be done on a budget with live action that can be done with animation, especially when that animation is Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse. The animation style of those two movies is absolutely fantastic. The mixing and matching from Across the Spider-Verse with the different Spider-Men and their different art styles was done exquisitely. So keeping Miles Morales in that universe with that same art style, I don't think that would be a bad idea at all. Let's see. Perhaps more worrying is the inevitable loss of the essence captured in the animated films. Miles Morales is an Afro-Latino sophomore determined to protect not just Brooklyn as a city, but as a community, leaving his mark in the streets with every step he takes. Far subtler, but equally meaningful differences, such as seem inconceivable in the MCU. Oh, we're going to bring that up. It was a one-off shot, probably done for ideological pandering, or it was a shot done to show that Gwen is actually an ally. Take with it, I know there's a lot on Twitter that are making a bit of a reach to say that Gwen is actually trans instead of just an ally. So was it ideological pandering? Something to see yourself on the screen? Hey, we're being representative. You be the judge on that one. Personally, it's one of those things where if you miss it, if you're not looking for it, you miss it. While even the Spider-Verse films come with some restraints, like failing, blah, 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 Across the Spider-Verse dares to challenge the conventions that MCU movies have played out time and time again. People behind the Spider-Verse movies broke the canon once. How, exactly? And seem determined to continue doing so. The MCU, on the other hand, is only likely to strip Miles' personality and identity in the process, moving him to live action. I agree with that 100%. The writers involved in Disney and Marvel in the MCU, it's action set piece, pretty bells and whistles, and then moving on. The continuity, the lack thereof, is consistent. That's about the only thing. The only thing consistent is a lack of consistency, a lack of continuity. Putting out stories that contradict everything that's come before it instead of building on it and moving forward, and it's getting rather annoying. So I will definitely agree with it on this one, but I'm agreeing with Polygon. I think this is like twice in the past month. I don't want to see Miles under the Disney Marvel thumb. I'm sorry. There's a lot of people who don't like the character or don't like the comics, think he's more of a copycat. He is a derivative character that needs better stories in the comic book for sure. But as far as the cinematic universe goes, the animation, I think the two movies are fantastic. I just watched Into the Spider-Verse again this past weekend, and I loved it, thoroughly enjoyed it. Should he stick to, do you think he'll do better in animation versus live action? Is it something you're looking forward to? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. Leave a like, leave a dislike, and I'll see you next one.